lounging about at home, AFKing for goods, or crafting god sets, the Delphi boys keep themselves busy. Progress, however, demands adventure, and it is this day that they make ready to take the fight to the enemy of all players, the dragon. The end holding promise of untold riches, the group researches a portal location and prepares for battle. With their shields adorned with the holy symbol of Delphi, our boys march onward to victory through uncertainty and doubt. Leaving their most prized possessions in the safe confines of their ender chests, they move out to face their destiny and make history for their great country.
So today we're going to talk about the end in 2016 and Delphi's expeditions, of which there were 3. Let's start with the first one. We wanted to go kill the dragon as a group. If you fought the dragon in full gear, you know it's a fight you can easily handle by yourself, but we wanted to do it together all the same. Lag and Dupe and Sir Leonidas went ahead of the group. They picked out an entrance to the end, trekked through the nether, made a portal for the rest of us, and relayed the cords. We then followed in their wake through the nether and made our way to the overworld to meet up. The plan was very simple. Just hop into an end portal and kill the dragon. We were about 5,000 blocks away from said portal and started making our way there. But then... Alright, so that didn't actually happen. If you must know, here's what really went down. Ebola spotted us and tried to escape through a forest. I purled after him and was on his tail for the whole initial chase. I kept landing sword hits here and there, but most of what I saw was Ebola's back and gapple particles flying around. I remember being in voice chat with at least the monkey. It's possible others were there, but I really don't remember. As I stuck to Ebola, the monkey kept relaying to me where the rest of the team was. We got to a beach, and Ebola decided to Jesus hack into the ocean. As I chased him across the water, the monkey was letting me know that he was just behind me with the rest. Ebola tried deactivating Jesus and swimming under the waterline using a bucket to keep breathing, and that was when the rest of the Delphi crowd was able to catch up to the battle. At one point, Ebola stopped and looked around, seemingly re-evaluating the situation. 5 of us were laying it on him at this point, but he had gapples, so he was relatively good. When I saw him stop and look around, I did the same. At that time, Sir Leonidas had decided to use a boat to try and catch up to us. Ebola looked straight at the boat, and I got a bad feeling as to what was about to happen. Ebola broke the boat. I tried swimming into it to pick it up, but it went to him. He swam up and placed it. I swiped at the boat, but didn't manage to break it, and the fight was effectively over at that point. Ebola sailed away into the sunset, laughing all the way, having faced 6 players and survived. I think having to fight a spawn friend 6-on-1 was always going to be a little embarrassing even if we did win. At the onset, even I couldn't have predicted just how embarrassing an event that would have turned out to be. When we got to the end portal, we made a record of the moment regardless, and went in to fight the dragon. The fight was relatively uneventful. Leg and Stoop recorded it, but has since deleted the video from YouTube. Here's a moment I've recreated that I remember from that video and I think is a shame to have lost. I'm not sure how things are now, but back then the dragon would drop 2 eggs at a time for some reason. Once we had dealt with him, it was time to get Elytra and dragon heads. Sir Leonidas, Lag and Stoop, and Pat returned to base, but the rest of us pressed on. We teleported to the End Islands through a gateway and started traveling where we saw the least damage and bridges. If I'm not mistaken, that was towards the -Z axis. On that expedition, we managed to get about 6 Elytra, 2 for each of us. Once we had had enough exploring, we were somewhere between 20 and 30,000 blocks into the end, and we just couldn't be bothered traveling all the way back. It's important to note that at the time, you couldn't use fireworks to fly with your Elytra. The only method of permanent flight was to use a bow enchanted only with Punch 2, Infinity, and Mending, and shoot yourself while in the air. We built a stop and chill with supplies that we wouldn't be able to carry, and we also made a suicide booth. I don't have pictures of how it looked on the other side, but it was basically a simple purple block platform over the void with 3 holes for us to drop through. We left Delphi's banners over the End City ones, symbolizing our conquest, did a New Year style countdown in general chat, and killed ourselves at the same time. Upon us returning to base, Pat had come down from his new building blocks high and remembered that Elytra existed. The monkey decided to share his end spoils and gave Pat one of his. The second expedition started for one simple reason. Grinding out god sets in the overworld was starting to become a huge pain in my ass. I decided it was time to make an Enderman Farm so I could farm experience and enchant more effectively. You can see the farm here, although it didn't always look like this. I actually made it with about 50% netherrack, which the Enderman then started to pluck out of the build. I had to gradually replace the blocks. It started with a very small platform around the kill room that I inevitably had to expand. One of the reasons for this was that the farm would just keep going as I was enchanting the things, and it got pretty crazy with the Enderman army sticking around. Having completed the prototype and made a couple god sets, I killed back to base. I spent a whole afternoon digging for diamonds and lapis and then made my way back with Captain Getzo. There we made about 40 god sets in total, with a little help from Sir Leonidas when it came to making it a fully fledged end base. Here's a video from back then that I sent him. Right, so we need blaze rods, grass blocks, dirt and sand would be nice. We could use a cobble generator, so feel free to bring some lava, please do, and you can build it if you want. I'll just do this so you can see everything. Feel free to pause at any point. This is what we have. There are other chests, and what we have in the other chests is equipment, enchants, and tons of ender pearls from the ender farm over there. Riveting stuff. This end farm was basically located between the main island where you fight the dragon and the other end islands, hidden in plain sight in the void ocean. The third and last expedition came when we decided we were all good on god sets. Me and the monkey traveled to the end from Delphi to stock up on ender pearls for the long haul, and since we were there, we figured we would just go find some more Elytra and dragon heads, since at the time we didn't have a dupe. As before, fireworks were a no-go, so we had to bridge between islands. We got about 2 more Elytra for each of us, and shortly after that, And that's how the third expedition ended. Well, for me, I guess. Well, guys and girls, thanks so much for watching. As usual, if you liked the video, please leave a like on it and let me know what you think in the comments. I try to read and respond to every single one of them. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll catch you next time.